Welcome to the very first podcast of Emmanuel Voice Publication, brought to you by RCCG Emmanuel Sanctuary. My name is Oluwadamilola Oweye, and I am thrilled to embark on this journey with you. Here, we discuss topics that cut across several areas, including marriage, business, lifestyle, everything geared towards our spiritual life. I have here with me my amazing co-host in person of.
Anoluwapo Oluwayinka.
Very nice to meet you, Anuluakbo.
Pleased
Thank
to
you
meet
for
you too.
joining me tonight on this podcast.
Thank you.
Good to have you. So the topic before us today is navigating temptations. Can Christian youth sustain abstinence today? Okay, I want to believe that a majority of us are aware that distraction is now on the increase, especially now that new things are rising. I believe that the effect of all these distractions that we are talking about can be traced to the lack of abstinence amongst youth. So, to you, what do you think abstinence means?
Right. Thank you. So for me, I would say abstinence is actually a conscious or intentional effort to stay away from worldly things or to stay away from things that are not actually right by God.
Exactly.
Above the distractions, above the temptations, above the pressure, your own intentional effort that okay, this is what is right and this is what I'm going to do. That's what abstinence means to me.
Exactly. I realized one thing, that there is one common misconception about abstinence. Most people feel like when you're talking about abstinence, you're only talking about staying away from sex, refraining yourself from sex. To you, do you think that is like, I believe that abstinence doesn't mean refraining yourself from sex alone. There are other things to abstain yourself from. For me, like, I feel like it is good to abstain yourself from bad association, bad friends that are not adding positivity to your life. So, to you, what other misconception do you think have been towards abstinence?
All right. So for me, I would say that the misconception around abstinence, some people feel that you are outdated. Yes, that abstinence is outdated. It's not the new norm. You hear some people say kojanu jare efile, just because you are not doing what the world has made to look like the normal thing.
Exactly.
So just like you mentioned, abstinence is not only about sex, it's about you standing above pressure. It's about you living your life to please God and at the same time to do what is right by God. It's about you being disciplined.
Exactly.
It's about you taking conscious effort to do what is right. And just like the definition I gave, to do what is right, be it at work, be it in relationship, be it in church, just to do what is right. Exactly.
That reminds me of a place in the Bible that says that all things may be lawful, but
Yes,
not all things are right. A country may say this is the law, this is legal, but the question is that thing right? Is it right to the soul? Is it right to the spiritual growth? These things are happening nowadays. Okay, let's talk about the effect of peer pressure. Let's pick the effect of peer pressure, especially on youth. I think somehow our adults overcome this because they have more responsibilities and their focus isn't really on peers like that.
You're right.
But the reason it's more common among youths, peer pressure thing. I remember a particular time that I went out with one of my friends. That my particular friend invited me to a birthday party. So he offered me alcohol. He offered to give me alcohol because everyone around was taking alcohol. The ones that were smoking because of the environment I found myself actually. But then because I felt like I was the only odd person, I felt odd and like if I don't take alcohol now, they'll be looking at me as if I'm
They're old school.
I'm old school, I'm
You
old school
get.
person. So I wanted to feel among, and I was forced to take that alcohol. There was this inner pressure that came for me that I need to take this, I need to feel among, I need them to let to see that
You're
yes, I am also, ja, I am also there. So what do you think? How do you think that peer pressure can be curbed? Because it is a common thing now among youth, and it is really affecting the youth community.
All right. So for me, I would say peer pressure did not just start from the youth. It has started
Exactly.
way back from being a
A
teenager.
teenager.
Yes,
Okay.
it has started way back from being a teenager.
Mm,
Even the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go.
exactly.
So being a teenager and your parents are not forcing you, yes, the parents also have their own share from this. So your
Exactly.
parents are not advising you to work for the Lord. You don't have good friends that are also in the way of the Lord.
Mm,
You are not being motivated to do the things of the Lord.
mm,
At that point, before you grow into becoming a youth from your teenage days, you don't have an experience with God. You don't really care about doing what is right or wrong. So automatically when the person becomes a youth from being a teenager, you would see that they would be swayed left and right, and they would
mm,
just want to follow the trend. They
mm,
would just want to do what they
exactly.
feel like is right. And at that time, the parents would not, they would only have a little power over
Over
the
them.
the youth then,
Exactly.
because in this time and generation,
Mm,
the parents can only say what they can say to
mm,
a teenager. The way they would talk to a teenager will be different from the way the parents will talk to a youth, because
mm,
youth, you've come of age.
mm,
Even in the country, legal you are allowed to do some certain things at a particular age.
mm,
But from the teenage days, if you have been trained in the way of the Lord and you have built yourself, also the friendship aspect also affects,
mm,
it also affects, yes. Those you build yourself with, those you call your friend, those you surround yourself with also matter. Just like what you said now, if you don't have friends that smoke or drink, you would not be in that position, right?
exactly.
So for me, I think the society has a lot to do,
To do.
the church has a lot to do, the parents also had a lot to do.
Let us talk about societal norms that is being popularized, most especially by social media. The common trend that we've been hearing now is social media is bad. Is social media the problem, or the people using it are the problem?
For me, I would say that social media effect, the negative effect in this generation is actually on the high side
Very high.
than the positive side now.
Exactly.
Because I don't know about our parents' generation, but I can say there were minimal distractions,
Exactly.
unlike our own
At
generation,
least they were surviving without
unlike
social media.
this generation
Yeah.
too. So I would say that social media negative effect is on the eye side, and then, like I explained abstinence earlier, it just boiled down to the teenager, it boiled down to the youth to take that decision that, okay, even with the social media vices and all of that, I'm still going to stay true to God. The Bible says, remember thy creator at the days of your youth, because there would never be another like the days of our youth. So, and I gave one biblical reference that train up a child in the way he should go. It brought down to the church training the teenagers. It brought down to the parents as well. So a parent getting a phone, maybe an iPhone for a child of 16, 17 years, you are already giving the child a license to a lot of things. You are giving them freedom to anything they see online.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
parents give their children phone without even checking it. They just feel like because the classmates are using phone, because the church mates are using phone, I don't want my own child to be left out, so he or she has to get a phone, and they don't check it. So all of this
Yeah.
bring the issue of peer pressure.
Okay. But when we look at it deeply, getting a phone, whether Android or iPhone, for a child within the age range of 16 or 17, is it really bad? Because, okay, what if there is a case whereby the child needs to travel out to study and you will be needing to communicate with your parents? Okay, now I think we have a 17-year-old teenagers in university. They will need to
Yeah.
communicate with their parents. In fact, sometimes they will need to do assignments. In fact, in secondary school, some secondary schools now, the teachers tell the student that, okay, when you get home, try to use maybe your Android phone to check this
From
thing on the internet, because there are information on the internet that they can get. I don't know what true do you think parents need to have on that? Or maybe for me, I believe that teachers have little role to play, because the biggest teacher are the parents.
yes,
There is little to what the teachers can do. If you overdo, the parents may query you,
they will
the
definitely
school may
do.
query you. They will say you are overdoing, you're trying to train their child for them. So there is a limit to what you can do as a teacher. So what do you think parents can do on that? Because sometimes I feel like such thing is unavoidable. If I have a child now that needs to go and travel abroad to study, he may need Android phone or maybe iPhone to be able to do something he's want to do. So how do you think we can manage such thing?
All right. So for such cases, I feel it still boiled down to the parents. Reason being that there are some schools now, even with this internet age and generation that we have, there are some universities
Mm,
like Covenant University, there are some Christian universities that they they restrict some access to a university children, not to a university students, not to talk of a teenager.
mm,
So as a parent, getting your child phone at 16, 17, it's not a bad idea. I never said it's bad. I'm only saying that the limit to what they should do on that phone. There are apps that you need to monitor. There are things that you need to put in place. In this generation, in this internet age, there are some apps that can track and trace what your child do on their phone to
mm,
be sure that they are still on track.
mm,
I think parents should adapt and make use of those things.
mm.
Even while they're busy, they get to still track and put their children in check
Yeah.
before they become of the youthful age.
I think one of the most important things is to start from the foundation. God bless our parents. When you raise a child from the foundation, you give the child the Bible says that if the foundation is destroyed, what can
But
the righteous do? Because if from the start you don't raise that child properly, it will not be difficult to raise the child in a proper way when the child has grown up and become matured. In fact, some parents start raising the child properly, and then when they get to mix up with some peers, they change. Like, okay, I don't know why Nigerians now we don't appreciate our culture anymore. We just want to copy the Western way. We neglect our culture in everything. The way we are training children, we feel like, okay, this is a modern world, and since it's already the modern world, there's no need to be beating the child anymore. Those things, I think, they have major effect. Now, you raise a child the proper way, and the child gets to change through pairs. For instance, now we have one that sometimes their parents we school them from home, but when they get to school, their friends will tell them that you can do this, you can report your mommy. I mean, in some Western countries, or maybe their teachers will tell them that you can report mommy, you can report daddy. They do this, they do that to you, and the child will say, okay, that's fine. And if the parents do any little thing, the next thing they are calling the police on their parents, which is very wrong.
very, very
Which
well.
cannot happen in Africa. You call police on your parents, your mommy will give you a baju. You know, African mothers, they don't have
Yes.
chills. So I think all this too has to do with foundation and calling God to help us raise our children is also very important. Foundation and God. God is the most important. What role do you think faith has on abstinence?
Faith has a lot to do with abstinence because when the parent has already instilled morals and the fear of God in a child,
Exactly.
and the child is already being trained in the way of the Lord, there are some cases whereby the child will get to another location and then they start to misbehave. But
Mm,
such cases are actually rare, or they are not as high as those that are staying rooted in the fear of the Lord,
mm,
because when you have been trained from home, it's really difficult to deviate.
Mm.
And even if the child deviates, there is still this guilty conscience, there is still this fear that they get to exhibit when they are back home. They remember who they are when they get home, and they try as much as possible to do what is right.
The fear of the Lord is still
Yes.
rooted. And may God help us. It's one of the common things now. Okay, the Bible in Colossians 3:5 says, "Put
Okay.
to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature,
Nature.
sexual immorality,
Okay.
impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry." The Bible term all these things as idolatry. You can see the trend today that most times we idolize what we're not supposed to idolize. Like our major respect should be towards God. We now look onto these earthly things, these material things.
Distractions.
A lot of us are worshiping money indirectly. We do not know we are, forgetting that one day we are going to leave this earth. So I think these are things that we need to majorly discuss and help teenagers with. Okay, we have stories of youth and teenagers now that say that they didn't start smoking right from when they were young,
Young.
but somehow when they mixed up with friends, they got to learn how to smoke because of the pressure involved. There was an article I was reading, and I heard that pornographic sites, they are one of the richest,
Yes, the highest paid.
paid company.
Yes, I saw the
You now ask
research
yourself that
too.
they are one of the highest paid. How do you expect those involved in it to stop? Because they are gaining a lot. And I also read another article that their site is one of the most watched sites out of all the websites we have. Pornographic site are one of the most watched site. Now look at the effect of the internet on it. Sometimes you go to the internet, you just want to check something else, and the advert will just pop up. Now tell me how someone who is not disciplined won't be distracted, won't be tempted to click on that thing, and from there your mind goes to something else because the devil is actually very corny.
Coming.
So what do you think this pornography, masturbation, how also do you think that can be called? Because this is pornography is dangerous, very, very dangerous, because there is something in the brain that is called dopamine. The more you watch it, the more you are releasing that dopamine in your brain, and it
And
then
it
leads to
become
addiction.
addiction. Yeah.
So how do you think can become? Because sometimes I go to internet and I see people crying for help that I am addicted to this thing. I tell myself I don't want to do it today, and I find myself doing it because from pornography, the baby is masturbation. That's what it leads
Yes.
to, and these are things that also affect marriages. In marriages, people are addicted to pornography and masturbation. So how do you think this can be curbed?
Okay, I would say that all of these things, they did not just start from birth, right? They start at a point. So if the person can trace his or step back and then think that, okay, why did I start this in the first place? And they regain that strength and energy through prayers. Okay, through prayers, that this is not how I started. One thing the Bible made us to understand is that if we can confess our sin and go back to God, is just to accept us. So if these people that are battling with addiction can just they can just take that conscious decision that, okay, I think this is not how I started. This is not profitable to me. This is not right. Through prayers, they seek mentorship, and then they move away from friends, because we mentioned that peer pressure is also one of the cause
Yeah, that's been the
for
major.
this.
Yeah.
So if you check the people you mingle with, you check the people you surround yourself with, and then if he or she, the person, can stay away from social media, because social media is also part of it. There is It's very possible to stay away from social media, or you shut down all apps that you know that triggers this sinful behavior. they can get out of it in no time. First is to discover that this thing you are doing is wrong and you want to abstain from it, just like our topic. So you want to abstain from it, which requires a conscious decision, an intentional decision that, okay, this is not right and I'm not going to do it. And then you seek mentorship, seek counsel, pray about it,
Yes.
and stay away from friends or anything that pressures or trigger you to go back to this sinful behavior,
Exactly.
and get yourself busy.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Yes. To buttress what you said, yeah,
Okay.
especially the part of seeking counsel is very, very important because these things we are saying are not easy. Especially that thing when that thing called dopamine has been released in excess and the addiction is there. It's just like saying that someone that's been smoking for 40 years, you want him to stop all of a sudden. Sometimes it needs counseling, it needs help. You understand? It needs to join groups of people that will boost him. And that's why sometimes they get them into rehabilitation because
Yes.
they feel like, okay, if we're able to stop you for some time, to discipline you for some time to stop this thing, you get used to it. But I also discovered that some people go into rehabilitation. I know people who go into rehabilitation, they come out and they start again because somehow they find that themselves around that thing again. So I think the most important thing is just God touching the lives of the fellows that are victims of these things that we are talking about. And also, just like you said, taking conscious effort. I want to stop this thing. Realizing that this is bad is the first step. Then telling yourself, I want to stop this thing. I don't want to keep doing this thing. And seeking help. When you want to tell people, know the people you can tell. Make sure that people you are telling are people you
The
trust.
right
Not that
counsel.
the right counsel, not that people you tell and they will go and start using you to preach outside or they will start using you to do examples for other people. People that can keep your secrets and help you genuinely. Or perhaps you see people that they've been into it before. They've been into it before and they can tell you the right steps to take. They can tell you how they stopped. They can tell you the right steps to take. And so also I think our parents, when it comes to the teenagers and the youth, they have a lot of role to play. Um, especially in helping the teachers to be able to train their children. I have a problem with saying that this is Africa. The way we were raised, we listen when we are spanked, when we are being spanked, like when our parents spank us, when they beat
Yes.
us, we listen more. So saying that the teacher should stop beating the children. I understand when parents say that. They say that because of teachers that abuse it, you beat children all over the body. What is wrong? The palm is fine. You beat them on the palm, that is fine. But it is understandable when legal states said it should stop because of the abuse involved. But somehow it has a negative effect because the children of nowadays, the way they are growing, it is only God that can help. Now this is Gen
Gen Z.
Alpha, Gen
Gen
Alpha,
Alpha.
and now I am. It is in the news that from this year the new generation will become
Innovation.
Gen something else. I'm very sure in
Exactly.
the next 5 years will become Gen another thing. So as the new
Then
generation are
better.
coming up, the way of training is changing. It shouldn't be so. Shouldn't be so. We should use that, balancing iron hand and soft hand. I believe to train our children, but God will help us
God.
because it is seeming like to these days now, if you overdo, your children will even want to run away from the house
Yes.
because they have places to go.
You feel like you're stressing them. Their
Exactly.
mental health
Mentally.
is not this, is not that. And it's just because of the wrong counsel they have been
Mm,
receiving. It's
mm,
just because of the wrong counsel
mm,
or the peer pressure that we are
mm,
talking about.
mm,
I feel like my friend does anyhow and nobody's checking him or her. So why would my mom be telling me all of this? Why would my dad be saying that I should not go to a party
mm.
whereas my friend are going? So any mistake, any serious deal
Discipline.
discipline, they get to react
They
somehow.
feel like they are hated by their parents. My mom
Yes,
hates me, my dad hates me. They don't see it as discipline.
you're right.
It is well. You're a youth. I'm a youth. Although we are Gen Millennial, what they call us. So, what advice do you have for youth in general, especially when it comes to abstinence?
Okay, for youth in general, their abstinence is about staying away from premarital sex. That's what most youth count as abstinence. But then, like I gave the definition earlier, it's just a conscious decision that you are going to do what is right in all aspects. So that means you are abstaining from anything that is not holy, from anything that is not pure, from anything that is not God's will for you, from anything that is not rooted in the word of God. So that is abstinence, staying away from everything that is not right. So for youth, I would say that nobody is perfect, but we need to always pray. We need to be watchful. We need to also have people that keep us on our toes.
Exactly.
Like we need to have a mentor or
Mentors,
someone
very
that
important.
counsels us,
Yeah,
that check in with us regularly.
exactly.
And when I mean people that check in with us, you want to be like someone that is right, that
Exactly.
is with right standing with God.
Accountability partner.
Yes.
Exactly.
So you have to seek the right counsel. There are different counselors nowadays, not even the pastors. There are different people that are old, but at the same time, what they are giving out there is not a good advice. Some
Exactly.
parents, some adults also give wrong
Wrong
counsels
advice.
to
Exactly.
youth. They give the wrong counsels, especially the female gender. They give the wrong counsels at time.
Thank you very much. Okay, so finally, for me, just to buttress what she said, when you started with whatever is right,
Yes.
do it, irrespective of the pressure around.
Yes.
So, whatever thing you feel is right, just do it. You have to follow the standard of Jesus.
Yes.
Standard of Jesus is the most peaceful standard. He said, "Peace I give unto you," not like
Not
the
like the
world
world,
gives.
yes.
It means that the world also gives peace, but you cannot compare it to the peace of Jesus.
Exactly.
Because it is only whatever comes from Jesus that gives you that inner peace that you're
Peace.
searching for. For example, now people find it strange when you go into marriage as a virgin. It is actually a very serious thing now that even your mother start warning you that you're a virgin, don't tell anybody. Oh.
Exactly.
Because they feel like you do. I've had situations whereby you tell people you're a virgin and they laugh at you like, me say I be virgin. They don't believe it. They find it hard. That what's this one saying?
Yes.
But then, if you feel this is what gives me dignity as a woman, keep it. And then when you go into your marriage, you get your honor, you get your dignity. So
Exactly.
you don't have to follow what the world
But
is doing. Just follow the standard of Jesus, and it will give you that honor and that glory that you deserve and that peace that you
yes.
deserve. So that's my advice for you. Thank you all very much for joining us on the very, very first episode of Emmanuel Voice Publication podcast
Podcast.
brought to you by RCCG Emmanuel Sanctuary. Again, Olayinka, so good to have you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having
much
me.
for making the work easy. In case you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, just click on the subscribe button and turn your notification on so that you will be getting more updates from us. Also, kindly follow our Instagram page at RCCG Emmanuel Sanctuary and Trailblazers Emmanuel Sanctuary. Till next time, we are going to have you again as we discuss more on trending topics that cut across marriage, business, lifestyle. Don't forget, everything is geared towards the edification of our spiritual life. Thank you for joining us. God bless you. Bye.